It's just one
But
of those things. Her and I are praying about it, and I'm trying to make sure that everything's.
Hey, Campbell. How are you? Are you still sick? Could you close? He needs to close his door. Hold on just 1 second. My husband's working in his office upstairs, and he's talking on the phone. I need to have him. Hey, Campbell, sorry about that. I had to run, go close my husband's office door because he was talking really loud. Hey, I got to ask you, is Ed Puzzle working for you? Okay, good. I had an email with somebody telling me it wasn't working. And I've got somebody in your class and somebody in one other class that's struggling with it a little bit. And I just need to make sure it's working, at least for some people, because if not, it's a Ed Puzzle thing and I have to, work that a different way. Do you have questions? Hey, do you think this new stuff, is that a little more confusing? Did the multiplying, was it harder? Or have you watched today's? Okay. So do you want me to do the Lord help me, please think. I just lost it. Guided practice problems. Or do you want me to go over yesterday's work? Or both? Which one do you want to start with? Yesterday's or today's? Okay, cool. We will do the guided practice problems. Fun stuff. Let me pull up a blank PDF. Yay. Okay, the first one was 6x minus 2y equals 1 with negative 2x plus 3y equals negative 5. All right. So when we were just adding and subtracting, to eliminate one of the two variables, we were looking at both sets of variables, the x's and the y's, and looking for ones that either, had opposites or the same exact coefficient. So like if we were looking at the x's, we were trying to make sure they either both had, like if it was in this particular instance, if the top one is 6x, we were hoping that the bottom one would be either 6x or a negative 6x. So you were hoping that they were the exact same or the opposite. When you look at these, neither one are complete opposites of each other. So what you want to do next is then look at which one would be the easiest to multiply to get to be either the exact same, where if they were the exact same, you would subtract, or they were opposites, which therein you would add. As I look at this one, the easiest one would be to multiply the bottom coefficient by 3 all the way across in order for it to be an opposite. So if I multiply a -2 by a +3, I'm going to get a -6. And there, that would eliminate, if I add the two, it would eliminate the top x. So I'll just show you how that's done. I'm going to multiply this bottom one right here by 3. So 3 times -2x is -6x. And 3 times 3y is 9y. And 3 times -5 is -15. So now I haven't changed the value of that bottom one. It's just in a different form, but it's still the exact same line. And what I'll do to make the adding easier, easier, is I'll just write the top equation again. And now all we'll do is add the two together. So -6x plus a +6x cancels those two out. 9y plus a -2y gives me a 7y. And a -15 plus 1 gives me a -14. So now it's just the algebra like we've been doing. Divide both sides by 7. And that gives me y equals -2. I'm going to switch back over and see if you have a question. Oh, yes. Wait. Oh, Jordan's on her way. She's finishing the video and then coming. Okay. All right. You said a -2x on that. It's y equals -2. Is that what you meant? Or were you saying something? Wait a minute. Why did you write -2x? Oh, to be the equation to be multiplied? Okay. Yes. Yes. You're right. Absolutely. Sorry, I didn't see that beforehand. When I'm switched over to the blank PDF, I can't really see what you're writing. So I have to kind of switch back and forth. Sometimes when Alec comes, he reads to me what people are writing. But yes, absolutely. You're so smart. You've got this. So just doing some sample problems together is going to help you a lot. All right, now the next step is we would take this y equals -2, and you can substitute it back into either one of the original equations. So I can actually use the -2x plus 3y equals -5, or I can use the 6x minus 2y equals 1. It doesn't make any difference which one I substitute my value that I found, what I substitute into y. So, do you have a preference as to which one you would prefer me to use? Okay. Then I'll just go, I'm going to substitute it back into the original -2x one. So I've got -2x plus 3 times -2, because I'm plugging in this value here for the y, so substituting, equals -5, which then gives me -2x. 3 times a -2 is a -6, equals -5. If I add 6 to both sides, I'm going to get -2x equals 1, and then x equals -1/2. So my ordered pair is -1/2, -2 for my final answer for that one. Oh. Do you see how I got it? Oh, yeah. That is I'm not glad that you worked out problems for yourself, but that is something to be cautious of, is making sure that you're substituting the right variable back into the original equation, because there's lots of details to kind of watch on these problems. All right. I'm going to go back over and start erasing, because you know how long that takes me.
One of those things where you can circle and then hit the middle.
I don't know.
Circle everything and tap the middle.
No.
On smartboard, you can do that.
Yeah. This it's a Google add-on. Mm-hmm. It's called Cami. And I'm sure there's more bells and whistles to it than what I've discovered. Mm-hmm. One of my students is definitely a computer savvy person, and the other day he worked out how to actually, for me to make a straight line on a graph, I can hold down the shift key while I'm in here, and it literally makes a perfectly straight line. Wow. So I know that was pretty cool. All right. Number 2. 2x plus 5y equals 3. That equals a little sketchy. 3x plus 10y equals -3. All right. On this one, which one would you pick to multiply? The first one, the top one, or the bottom one? And what would you do? So you would multiply the 2x, and what would you multiply it by? That's good. That's what I would pick too. Multiply by 2. Good job, Campbell. Awesome. Good job. All right, so let me go back over and do that. So I'm picking this top one. Actually, let me do this. I like to write it in a different color so you can see the difference. Multiply that top one. And I'm going to multiply it by 2, just like you said. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times 5y is 10y. And 2 times 3 is 6. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my bottom equation underneath it. Now I have to pick, am I going to add or am I going to subtract in order to eliminate my 10y? Which one? Because then you have to make that decision as well. Does x equal 9? Oh, subtract. Okay. All right. I think you were working ahead, so I think you did it faster than me. Yes, I am going to subtract. So I'm going to do that now. So 4x minus 3x is x. Oh yeah, I think you're on top of what we were doing. Exactly. Yes, it does. X equals 9 because 6 minus a minus 3 is 9. Good job, Campbell. All right. So now what we're going to do is take that 9 and substitute it back in. Have you already worked ahead of me? And you know the answer? I'm going to see if you already know the answer. Did you do it? That's it. Y does equal negative 3. Do you want me to go ahead and work it out? Okay. So I'm going to plug x in for 9, and I'm going to use the top one. 2 times 9 plus 5y equals 3. 18 plus 5y equals 3. Subtract 18 from both sides, and I get 5y equals negative 15. And then divide both sides by 5, so y equals negative 3. So my ordered pair is 9, negative 3. So that's my final solution for this system of equations. Is this making more sense to you now that we're working through some of the problems? Good. All right. Well, we have one last guided practice problem. And then I'll see if you have any questions over yesterday. Did you get through yesterday's work okay? Okay. And I'll make sure if you want me to, we can check your answers from yesterday while you're on here if you want. All right. Erase, erase, erase. Okay, the last guided practice problem is 3x minus 7y equals 5, and 9y equals 5x plus 5. So the first thing I notice here is that they're not both in standard form. So the very first thing I'm going to have to do is put it in standard, that bottom one into standard form. So I'm going to do that by subtracting 5x from both sides. And then, so then I'll have negative 5x plus 9y equals 5. And I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that top one underneath so we have a good view of both. 3x minus 7y equals 5. So on this one, it doesn't look like we can easily multiply just one of the two equations by something and be able to eliminate the two. Looks like we're going to have to multiply both of them by something in order to eliminate the two. What would you multiply both equations by? The top one, you're going to multiply it by something, and the bottom, you're going to multiply it by something in order to be able to eliminate. Which one would you pick? Negative 5x equation by 3. Good job. And the 3x equation by 5. Good job. Way to go. You're absolutely correct. So I will do that. This one by 3 and that one by 5. Okay, so now I'm going to take 3 times negative 15x, or negative 5x, which gives me a negative 15x, plus 3 times 9y is 27y, equals 3 times 5, which is 15. And then 5 times 3x is a positive 15x. And 5 times a negative 7y is negative 35y. And 5 times 5 is 25. So now, would you add or subtract these? Good job. You would definitely add, because you look at the coefficients of your x's, and we've made them where they're opposites. So when they're opposites, you add. So we're going to add them. I didn't want to write that right there, actually. So I've got a negative 15x and a positive 15x, and that gives me 0. And then I've got a positive 27y and a negative 35y. So that's going to give me a negative 8y. And then I've got a positive 15 plus 25, which is going to give me a positive 40. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 8. And that's going to give me y equals negative 5, which you've probably already done. Good job. Yes, y equals negative 5. So now you would take that negative 5 and you would substitute it back in to either of the original equations. like they said in the video, I can substitute it into one of the multiplied equations, but since the numbers are bigger in the multiplied one, it would just be easier to substitute that -5 back into one of the original equations because you're going to have some smaller numbers to work with, which is just more user friendly. So that being said, I think I'm going to personally select the 3x minus 7y equals 5 because I think my numbers are going to work out a little smaller. So that would be the one that I would choose. So if I take that -5, and then I've got 3x minus 7y equals, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I want to erase that. Substitute my -5 here equals 5. I'm going to erase some of this up here so I have a place to write. So that gives me 3x, a -7 times a -5 is plus 35 equals 5. I subtract 30 from both sides. And that, 35. Lord help me. I've already got the answer in my head. And that gives me a -30. So 3x equals -30. And then I would divide both sides by 3. And x equals -10. So my ordered pair is -10, -5. And also, when you're writing down your ordered pair, you have to make sure that you're writing the right one down. Did you already get it? Yes. Good job. You got them all. And that one had a little bit of everything in it. You had to change the equation into standard form. And then you had to multiply both equations by something in order to eliminate one of the variables. Did the guided practice help make it a little more clear? Okay, good. Do you want to go through yesterday's work or do you feel pretty good about it? Okay. Well, I really appreciate you coming to Math Lab and making sure that this particular concept gets solidified. So that's really, really good. We're going to be, working on it a good bit to. Oh, no problem. I just appreciate you coming and using all of the resources that you have available to you. It's just smart on your part to do that because I think it'll just make you, stronger, in class, which you're already really a very strong, very bright math student. But I just, all of these things, working problems together and doing examples and stuff like that just make you stronger. Oh, well, maybe she's taking really good notes on the video. So if you're pausing the video a lot, I think it was like an 8.5, 9-minute video. So if you're pausing that a lot, it's going to take you a good 20 minutes to get through that video. Because I don't know, he didn't have any steps written down like the other one did, which I like where you can write steps because it's kind of nice to be able to look over and be like, okay, the first thing I need to do is this. which I think that's a good process to think through. I think looking at the equations and just trying to make a decision about what's the best way to approach it. We'll be doing a lot more of that this semester. And then y'all will do even more of it next year in geometry, just like trying to assess a situation. Okay. Have a good afternoon.